Hi, my name is Crystal Ledesma. Welcome to Flavors of East Brunswick, showcasing our diversity through cuisine. This program is co-sponsored by the East Brunswick Human Relations Council and EBTV. So in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, today we're making Pollo Fritada. This is a homage to both of my ethnicity, which is Puerto Rican and Ecuadorian, and it's a recipe that has become very near and dear to my heart. So let me show you how to make it. Okay, so in a clean bowl, we're gonna have drumsticks. I'm choosing drumsticks today just because it's a lot easier to handle and it cooks a lot faster. So we're gonna clean our chicken in vinegar and a little bit of lemon juice or lime juice if that's what you have. And then we're gonna add in our achiote oil. Achiote oil is basically, I used olive oil and annatto seeds, and I infused it with some garlic. So we're gonna add that to the chicken. So then we're gonna add in our sofrito. Sofrito is just blended vegetables. We have onions, green peppers, cilantro, recao, onions. It's just a simple blend of vegetables. You can either make it at home or you can buy a pre-bought version in the store. Then we're gonna use Mojo. Mojo is basically a marinade that is with lemon juice, again pepper, and a different variety of different spices. This one is a store-bought version, but obviously you can make it by yourself. Now we're gonna add in our spices. So we have a variety of mixed different spices. We have adobo, oregano, cumin, onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, and cilantro. I put on gloves for this part because I like mixing with my hands so that way I know everything is incorporated. So we're just gonna mix everything, make sure you get underneath the skin, and just keep mixing until everything is nicely incorporated. Then you're gonna let everything marinate, preferably overnight, but if you're pressed on time, a minimum of 30 minutes to an hour, all the way up to 5 hours, but again, preferably overnight. So lucky for us, this bowl has been marinating overnight. So Pollo Fritada is a homage to both of my Puerto Rican and Ecuadorian heritage. So fritada is an Ecuadorian dish, and it's the way that the meat is prepared. Typically it's made with pork, but my mom transformed the recipe, adding in our Puerto Rican heritage with the spices, the adobo, the sofrito, and just making it her own. And she learned this recipe from my dad. So to start the chicken, we're gonna turn on our stove to medium heat, and in a large bowl, we're gonna take our achiote oil again. We're gonna add in our garlic and let that come to a little bit of a simmer. Let the pot get hot before we add in our chicken. So now that the pan is nice and hot, we have a nice little sizzle going on. The garlic is fragrant. We're gonna go ahead and put in our chicken. And all we're looking for is to put in the chicken and just brown on all sides. A rule of thumb is to not overcrowd chicken, but because of the style of this dish, it's okay if you do. So while we're waiting for the chicken to brown on all sides, we're gonna put the rest of the marinade to the side. Do not throw this out. This is liquid gold. So we're gonna put it to the side and let this come to a nice crisp on all sides. Okay, so for now, we're gonna start on our beans while we're waiting for our chicken to brown. So for our beans, we're gonna need tomato sauce, olives with some of the olive juice, some Baileys, achiote oil, garlic, sofrito, some of the same seasonings that we use to marinate our chicken, onion, we have our canned beans, rinsed and drained. I use hot dogs. It adds a lot of flavor. You can omit it if you don't like it. Potatoes, and then calabaza. Calabaza is pumpkin, but this is a certain type of Spanish pumpkin that I'm using. If you cannot find it, because it is definitely hard to find, you can substitute it for regular pumpkin or even butternut squash. And then lastly, we're gonna use some sazon. If you do not want to use sazon, it is perfectly fine because we're using achiote oil and that's going to give us the color anyways. And then lastly, we have our cilantro. So in a pot, we're going to go ahead and turn on the heat. I would do maybe like a medium, play it safe. We're going to add in our achiote oil and our garlic. And the same thing that we're looking for like when we started our chicken, we're just waiting for the pot to heat up and to smell the garlic. There you go. Okay, so now that our oil is heated, our pan is hot, we're gonna add in our sofrito, and quickly we're gonna add in our chopped onions. Give it a good mix. And then at this point, we are gonna add in our potatoes. Mix everything around and give the potatoes a few minutes just to start talking to the rest of the seasonings. So we're just gonna leave the potatoes in there for about 2 minutes. You're not looking to cook right through it. This is gonna be simmering on the stovetop for a little while, so we just wanna heat it up a little bit before we start adding our spices and our tomato sauce. Now we're gonna add in our spices, the same spices that we used in the chicken, the adobo, black pepper, oregano, paprika, onion and garlic powder. It's pretty much the same thing that we're using throughout. We're also gonna add in our sazon, 1 packet. And mix everything around to incorporate. Now that everything is incorporated nicely, we're gonna go ahead and add in our tomato sauce. And in the same cup, don't throw this away because this is liquid gold. We're just gonna add in a little bit more water. And at this point, this is to your desired consistency. I typically like my beans a little bit more on the thicker side. So I'm adding in just about 2 more of the same cups that I had the tomato sauce in. And just go ahead and mix everything around again. And obviously you can always add in more water later on. If it's too thick for you and you want to thin it out, that's completely fine. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and add in our olives with a little bit of the olive juice. Again, you can omit it if you don't like olives. Personally, I do not like olives, but I like the flavor that it gives to the beans. Additionally, we're gonna go ahead and add in 2 bay leaves. And at this point, we're just gonna cover and let the potatoes kind of simmer in all the juices. The potatoes take the longest. Everything else pretty much cooks at the same pace. So right now we just want to wait till the potatoes get almost completely fork tender. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the chicken. They've been in the pot for a little while. We're going to go ahead and start flipping them around. We're not really looking for brown, it's just more getting heat on the chicken on all sides before we add in the rest of the seasonings and the liquid. So typically what I'll do is the guys that are touching the bottom of the pan, I'll bring them to the top, and our other friends that are on the top, we're gonna move them to the bottom. And just keep moving them around just until you feel like you've touched every single one. and submerge each one of them into the liquid. We're gonna let it sit for like another 4 to 5 minutes, and then from there we're gonna add in everything else. Okay, so the beans have come to a boil. It's been about 4 to 5 minutes. We're not really looking for the potatoes to cook completely through. We're just looking for the flavors to start incorporating into it. So now we're gonna go ahead and add in our hot dogs. Mix everything around. And then we're gonna go ahead and add in our calabaza. We're gonna let that sit and come back to a boil for about another 4 to 5 minutes, and then we're gonna add in our beans. So now we're gonna take a look at our meat. And so this is how the meat looks, even without adding any juice to it. This is the natural juices releasing from the chicken. We're gonna go ahead and give it one more turn around. And now we are gonna add in the rest of our marinade that the chicken was marinating overnight. Remember I said do not throw this away, this is liquid gold. So we're gonna go ahead and add in everything in. And then we're gonna fill this bowl with some more water, because what we're looking for is just to slightly graze the top of the chicken. So we're gonna add enough water to do so. So you're looking for a level about that much. Is not really submerging all of the chicken into the liquid, but once we start moving them all around and kind of making space for everyone, it's gonna be just fine. So into this pot, we're gonna go ahead and add in our sofrito. A little bit of mojo extra. Then we're gonna add in a little bit more seasoning. Same seasoning that we were using before in the marinade. And lastly, we're gonna move everything around, get everything incorporated, and then we're gonna add in our 2 bay leaves, cover the lid, and let it sit for 30 minutes, check on it, and then just make sure that the water is not evaporating too quickly. And if it is, just add more water. It's not a big deal. Because in total, we're looking to cook this for about 45 minutes. Typically, I like to do it for an hour. It basically just enhances and concentrates the flavor, because what happens is the water completely evaporates, and then at the end it's gonna have this nice luxury sauce at the end, and the chicken is gonna be nice and tender. And we're gonna cover the lid, leave a little hole just to let the steam evaporate, and we're gonna put that on medium heat. So now the beans have been cooking for about 3 minutes. I'm just gonna give it a nice little stir, kind of assess the situation. For me personally, I think it needs a little bit more water because we still have to add in our beans. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in a little bit more water and then our beans. Now we're gonna add our beans and give everything a nice little mix. Put on the lid and let it do its thing for about 10 minutes. We're just heating everything up at this point, and by the end, the potatoes should be nice fork tender, and so will the calabaza. So for our rice, we're making white rice, but this is a Puerto Rican style white rice. We're gonna need 2 cups of white rice, 2 cups of water, which I already have in here. Then we're gonna need some oil. This is about two tablespoons, and salt. This is about 1.5 tablespoons. So on medium flame, we're gonna go ahead and add in our salt first. Give it a mix around, let the salt dissolve in the water while it's heating up. And then once the salt is fully dissolved, we can go ahead and add in our oil. At this point, we're just gonna put a lid on it for a few minutes just to encourage the simmer. So the beans are just about ready. I'm gonna go ahead and lower it to a low heat and take some of my cilantro. No need to chop it up, it's just to give some added flavor. So I just kind of like bunch it up and throw it on the top. And we're just gonna cover it up one more time and just leave it alone. And you can leave it as is until the rest of the food is ready. So in our rice pot, we have our water nice and simmering. We're gonna go ahead and add in our 2 cups of rice. You're just gonna give it a nice mix. Make sure that the oil goes in through each and every nook and cranny. And then once you feel comfortable with it, go ahead and put on the lid one more time. And we're gonna put it on medium heat. And all we're looking for is the water to kind of evaporate. When I lift up the lid one more time, you'll see there's gonna be like these little holes. That's when you know it's ready to turn it around. So these are actually my grandmother's pots, both of these. I had the privilege of inheriting them when she passed last year. And I always say anytime that I cook with these pots, the meal comes out like extra good. So I really feel like it's her love that kind of like transcends through her pots, her beloved pots. This meal is, my family, we typically cook it at least once a week or every other week, keep it on rotation. It's a great meal to kind of just cook it and walk away. The meat takes so long to cook, so you can start that first, and once it's like to the last 30 minutes, do everything else, and by the time the meat is done, everything else is done. So it's a really good meal to make. We're gonna take a look at our chicken. And everything is looking great right now. It's boiling, and don't be wary about this color. This is just the achiote oil coming to the top. I'm just gonna raise the heat a little bit because I want the water to start evaporating. Basically, the chicken is just cooking in its own juices, along with the marinade, along with all the love and seasonings that we put into it. So we just wanna help it evaporate, and what happens is the juice will come to a nice condensed thick consistency, and when you put it on top of the white rice, gold. Okay, so the rice is just about ready to turn around. So what we're looking for is these little holes that are forming. Normally there's a lot more. So now you take your spoon and basically go from the middle and just like flip it and go do the same thing all around. This is the last time that you're going to be touching the rice, because once we put the lid on, you do not touch it because you do not want the steam to escape. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a little mountain. Push everything together all the way around. And what I like to do is to help the steam stay in is I get a little bit of aluminum foil, and I'm gonna take a little bit of water, throw it right in the center, shiny side down, kind of press it in, and then you're gonna take the lids, turn it on low heat, and leave it alone for 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how much rice you have. Do not lift the lid, do not get tempted, leave it for 25 minutes. So now we're gonna take a look at the chicken again. We're just gonna stir things around. It's starting to evaporate. You can see where we started up here. So we're just gonna move everyone around, make sure everyone has enough time on the heat. Because of how big this pot is, I'm actually gonna raise it to closer to high heat just so it can quickly evaporate. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at our beans, just make sure everything is okay. We are on low heat, so right now I'm not really worried about overcooking anything. The potatoes still need a couple more minutes. So again, just turning everything around, moving everything from the bottom to the top. And we're gonna recover and let everything hang out. I have the holes pointed out so that way the steam can evaporate and it's not so much cooking, it's just keeping everything warm. Okay, so now we're gonna make tostones. Tostones are very, very easy to make. They're green plantains. And it's a staple in our Hispanic heritage. Many different cultures use it, but especially in our Hispanic heritage, we use it very frequently. So I just cut off the ends and then made 2 slits down the sides. And with your hand, you're gonna start peeling everything off. And my goal is to have like a nice smooth skin instead of broken skins, because when making tostones, some people have like a tostone press. Me personally, I don't want that added cluttered in my house, so I actually just use the skin. Okay. And then we're gonna go ahead and cut them into about an inch and a half pieces. Just try to make them as uniform as possible. It helps in the cooking process and just looks pretty. Okay. Now in a pan with oil, we're gonna go ahead and heat up the oil for a few minutes. And the way that you know when the oil is ready, you can do a little test. You take one of the green plantains and you drop it in. If it starts bubbling around it, then you know it's time to work. But if it doesn't do that, then you gotta wait a little longer. Okay, so the oil has been heating up for a few minutes, so we're just gonna do our little test. We're gonna take our plantain and drop it in and look for the bubbles that form. You see the bubbles that are forming right around the plantains? That's exactly what we're looking for. And in this case, we do not want to overcrowd, because then what's gonna happen is the heat is gonna reduce and you're not gonna get a nice crispy plantain. So we're just gonna put a few of them. So we're just gonna do this in batches, and we're just gonna lightly golden the tostones on each side. Okay, so while we're waiting for everything else to just come together, we're gonna go ahead and get started with our tostones. We had some of them already browning. We took some of them out, and what we're gonna do, so this is the first fry. We're gonna double fry the tostones. That gives it the maximum crispiness, which is what we're looking for. So I'm just gonna take 2 of the skins and put one like this and do like a crisscross action. And you're just gonna smash it down, get it as even as possible. And this is why I like using the skins, because I can really feel how thin it is. I like mine a lot thinner than normally, which is why I also don't use the press. So then you're looking for something like that. So we're gonna do that to all of them. Okay, so now that we already smashed the tostones down, we're gonna double fry it. And it's essential at this part, you do not want to overcrowd it, because then you're just gonna have some soggy tostones and nobody wants that. Okay, so when they start rising to the top and they start floating on their own, that's when you know it's time to flip it over, maybe like a minute or two on each side. Now we're gonna take out the tostones and we're just gonna make sure that we have a lined plate. As soon as we take them out, we wanna hit it with some salt for maximum flavor. And when you do that, you put the next batch in and you work in little batches like that. Just a little bit of salt, not a lot needed. We have a lot of flavor going on in the rest of the meal. So now the chicken should be just about ready. The same way that I added the cilantro at the end with the beans, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing for the chicken. So as you can see, the liquid significantly reduced, and then you're left with this beautiful sauce. And you can continue to reduce it at this point. I'm just gonna leave it on a low flame just until all of the tostones are ready. But you can already see the chicken is already falling off from the bone, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So the beans are now done. Let's give it one final mix. And the way that you know it's done, you're gonna take one of the potatoes, take a fork, and if it goes through, perfect. You don't want it too mushy, so that's amazing. So now we're just gonna fluff up the rice before we serve it. Kind of just like break it up. Okay. So now everything is ready. Let's go ahead and plate it. Can't forget the aguacate. So typically in any Hispanic cooking, but especially in Puerto Rican cooking, we usually serve our meals with aguacate, which is avocado. And there you have it. Pollo fritada with white rice, beans, tostones, and aguacate. So thank you for watching. I hope you take the time out and give this a shot. It may seem like a lot of seasonings or a lot of steps, but trust and believe this is gonna be one of your newest favorite dishes. This dish brings me back to when I was a child in my grandmother's kitchen, and I'm just so thankful that I'm able to carry on this tradition and hopefully one day pass it along to my future kids. So I wish you all a happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Buen provecho.